Bumshke. Good morning, boys and girls. What is going on out there today? Brent Abel here, webtennis.com, as in, let's see what actually works. Let's get away from the hype. Let's get away from theory. Let's get into the nitty-gritty about what actually works for the rest of us. Guys, hope you're having a great day so far, wherever you are. I am here in Southern California, specifically the Southern California desert, Rancho Mirage, California, the Mission Hills Country Club. Another gorgeous day on tap. The San Jacinto's grass court, 9:30 this morning with a big O. Nice little 60-minute workout. Work hard. Come on, we got to go get it today. Hey, guys, a couple things before we get into today's training. And I want to kind of give you a specific thought about how to think about improving stroke technique. But before we do that, what I've got coming up at 7:30, just about 29 minutes, is day number. What's today? Today is the 5th of January. We're on the day 5 of the 31-day reboot, the physical reboot, January 2021, and about 12 or 15 minutes every morning at that time, 7:30 Pacific, and kind of give you some thoughts on hitting goals that you want for resetting the body. Could be you want to lose weight, right? Could be that you want better sleep. Could be that you want better energy, maybe recovery. In my case, how do you knock out all the inflammation from, if you're playing a lot of tennis, if you're working out, if you're in the gym, whatever you're doing, how do you knock out the inflammation so you can get out there again tomorrow and do the exact same thing and really start, getting a nice little improvement path on that chart, moving upwards on a day-to-day basis. So I've got some thoughts for you every morning this week, this month, and this week. Anyway, hope you'll join me and others at that time. And also on the topspin second serve, if yours is too many double faults, or it's just going in there and it's sitting up for that returner, could be singles or doubles, and just giving that returner the advantage to start off the point, then just go over to webtennis.com, drop in a first name and email address, and you'll get access to my complimentary, that would be free, no charge, topspin second serve course, so that we practically eliminate double faults, but you do it in such a way that you really get some natural swing speed to get some power and a high quality spin that's got some bounce, right? So webtennis.com. Guys, I'm going to take you over to a video that we've been looking at recently. And the reason I'm going to do this is because, let's see, are you actually seeing this? Yes, you are. Good deal. Okay. So we talk a lot about, at least I talk a lot about technique in terms of rather than adding layers and in terms of, more and more technique, in terms of that's the way that you're going to be able to win more points, win more game sets, matches, etc., is that actually what we want to work on is actually trying to reduce technique, try to pare away unneeded technique. And too often what I get, and let's kind of finish off the end of this point. You guys have all seen this points, but I want you to look at it, because I want you to understand what I'm talking about here. Is that sometimes, let's say on this point that you're me up at net and you're poaching, and let's say you miss this volley, right? It's forehand volley, and let's say that you miss it. So what I get a lot of, and I know a lot of coaches do too, is they get a student who comes and says, hey, look, can you help me with my forehand volley? And the mistake I used to make was I didn't ask the next question, which was, well, in what specific match play situation, could be singles, could be doubles, in what situation are you having trouble? I mean, it could be that if you're standing right here and the opponent plays their shot right back to you, it's not a problem. You're fine with that volley. But it's once you get on the move that you have a problem with the forehand volley. So I always find out, first of all, well, give me a specific situation where it's a problem. And And even if they say, oh, well, just my forehand volley in general, and I still will dig a little bit deeper, because what I want to do is I want to find out a specific match play situation such as this. They go, well, in doubles, when my partner hits a good return and I feel like poaching, this is the volley that I'm missing. I'm missing my forehand volley as I'm on the move. And I go, okay, well, then let's do this. Before we even talk about technique, which is, how do we get a little underspin with a continental grip with the racket face slightly open so that you can give it a little bit of that spin, that if they get to it, it's going to be down low, blah, blah, blah. Let's do this first. Let's recreate this situation and not even talk about technique. Let's talk about, well, where do we want the ball to land over there? If we move to our right on a forehand volley, and let's say we want our shot to be right there in the middle. So the first thing I would do is I would put a target out here. I would get myself here with, some balls, and I would just feed the ball over there. And eventually we'd work out the timing so that me as the pro and my student having to move over, all they're thinking about is, I just want to get the ball to that target, right? That's the first thing we do. And now what we've done is we've actually kind of worked out, well, maybe the target is that cone over there, but instead, let's get a little more specific with it. What's the target over the top of that white line? What's the target over the top of the net? And just whatever technique they bring to the party is fine to start with, because there's got to be a purpose as to where we're trying to hit the ball first. Because if you lock them up, or if you lock yourself up with too much technique, lots of times you're not going to even get to this ball. So look, I hope that makes sense. That really what we're talking about here is, rather than thinking about improving technique as theoretical, and in this situation where maybe you're struggling with that forehand poach, it could be way more about your footwork. It could be that maybe you're reaching with a straight arm too early. And I know that in that volley, I end up straightening out my arm only because I guess I'm not Usain Bolt, right? I mean, I didn't, unless at some point I straighten out my arm, I'm not going to get to it. But maybe the issue that you've got is not technique. Maybe the issue you've got is how you move over there. And I remember, we're already at 8 minutes. 7 around 7 is quickly becoming 7 around, it's more than 7 around 7. Anyway, I remember working when I was in Memphis, Tennessee, back in the mid 70s. I had a job at the Stonebridge Country Club, and I was really just learning how to play the game then, even though I was a assistant pro there, kind of on my travels, on my journey, right, from Memphis for about a year, and then I went down to Key Biscayne, Florida. I had a great job there for 2 years at the Royal Biscayne Hotel. Spectacular. It was a blast. But one of the things that I worked on in Memphis was on my volley, and it wasn't so much the technique as it was, how do you move to your right, or how do you move to your left, or how do you move out of the path of that incoming ball when you're up at net. And I remember working with this one pro, and I can't remember the club he was at, an Aussie guy from Australia, Kevin Green, and he ended up helping me by simply tying a little rope around my arms so I couldn't initially reach out with my hand for the ball. And that was my first response to a ball to my right or my left. I would reach with my hand first. And the problem with that is that unless the ball was played perfectly to me, I was always off balance as I moved to my right or to my left. So he tied this little rope around me. We just did this little drill where I had to sort of move with my hands and my arms to my side. I eventually trained it to where my first response to a ball to my right, in this case a forehand volley, was with my feet. And so I really kind of encourage you to stop thinking theoretically and much more situationally. What's that specific situation? Could be singles, could be doubles, that you're struggling with, let's say, a topspin forehand ground stroke in singles. It might be that you're simply pulling the trigger up the line too soon in the point. You don't have the right ball to do it on yet. And maybe what it is you ought to just go back cross court or right back up the middle at your opponent rather than going up the line, because you don't have the exact right ball to do it on. Even if it looks like that opponent is pulled away off the court, it's just not the right ball to do it on. And so when you then think, well, I've missed all these up the line shots, it's got to be my forehand technique. Might not be. You know what? It might not be. So look, figure out what's a specific match play situation that you're struggling with a shot. And if you want to tinker with technique on it, then go out and recreate that situation on the practice court or with your teaching pro. And look, I mean, you know, the teaching pros, 99% of them don't see you play. They don't know what's going on. They don't know if when you say, well, you know what, I've got a problem with my forehand, we got to really work on technique. All right, so they kind of go into general theoretical, here's how to hit a topper forehand, rather than asking the question, well, what's the specific situation in your matches? What's the common theme when you're missing that forehand? And you got to be aware of that, right? You can't just be thinking in general. I hope the message makes sense today. Anyway, that's it. So look, guys, always love to read your comments, your questions, any feedback, whether it's here on Facebook or YouTube. You can direct message me as well, or just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. And finally, yeah, if you're having any problems with that topspin second serve, I've got a complimentary course I want to get to you right away. Just go over to webtennis.com and get signed up. First name, email address, and you will be all set. Guys, that's it. With that said, get out there today. Help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, I will see you again tomorrow.